So imagine this. You spend years building a team for glory. You get right to the very edge of a championship, and then it all just vanishes right before you get to the top. Well, that's not some hypothetical story. It's the true, heartbreaking tale of one of hockey's most beloved lost legends, the Quebec Nordiques.
From 1972 all the way to 1995, this logo right here, this was Quebec City. And it was so much more than just a hockey team. It was really the heart of a community, a huge symbol of pride, and it was the foundation for what absolutely should have been a dynasty. So let's get into it and find out what exactly went wrong.
So what happened? I mean, really, how does a team with a roster that stacked, a fan base that passionate, just pack up its bags and leave town? That is the central mystery we are going to unravel today.
To really understand the heartbreak, you first have to get what this team meant to its city. The Nordiques weren't just another sports franchise. They were literally woven into the fabric of Quebec's identity. You know, the name itself pretty much says it all. Les Nordiques, or the Northerners. It was a direct shout-out to their geography, a kind of declaration of their place in the world. They were the team of the North, plain and simple. And that connection ran so deep, the logo wasn't just some clever design. I mean, yeah, the stick and the puck form a little igloo, which is cool, but the entire brand was built around the fleur-de-lis, which is of course the central symbol of the Quebec flag. This team was a symbol of Québécois nationalism and pride. The team's history is just full of these incredible stories. Get this, their very first coach was the legend himself, Maurice "Rocket" Richard. And his coaching career, it lasted exactly 2 games. He won 1, lost 1, and was basically like, yeah, no, I think I'm better at playing.
Okay, so you absolutely cannot talk about the Nordiques without talking about their legendary, bitter rivalry with the Montreal Canadiens. This was way, way more than just a hockey game. This was a straight-up clash of cultures. And when I say the rivalry ran deep, I mean it. This went so far beyond the ice. It was Quebec City versus Montreal. It was seen as Québécois nationalism versus federalism. Politically, you had the Parti Québécois supporters versus the Liberal Party supporters. It even got down to a battle of breweries, Carling O'Keefe versus Molson. Every single game was like a proxy war for the soul of the province.
And this rivalry could get seriously ugly. The absolute peak of the bad blood was a 1984 playoff game that's now known as the Good Friday Massacre. We're talking a full-on, bench-clearing brawl that just cemented the Battle of Quebec as one of the most intense rivalries in sports history.
But, you know, after those glory days of the rivalry in the mid-'80s, things, well, they took a really sharp downturn. And yet, in this strange twist of fate, their absolute failure would become the very foundation of their future success. And the collapse was just brutal. From 1988 on, they finished dead last in their division 5 years in a row. Their 1989-90 season was a complete and utter disaster with only 12 wins. Franchise legends were being traded away. The team was in absolute shambles. But here's the thing about being the absolute worst team in the league. You get the #1 draft pick. And boy, did the Nordiques hit the jackpot. 3 years in a row, they drafted a future Hall of Famer in Mats Sundin, a total powerhouse in Owen Nolan, and a kid they were calling the next one, Eric Lindros. Now that third pick, Eric Lindros, he would go on to become the single most important player to never actually play a game for the team. His refusal to join the Nordiques set off a chain of events that would literally change NHL history forever. Lindros just flat out refused to play for Quebec. He cited things like a lack of winning spirit and a few other concerns. He held out for over a year, and you can just imagine the tension. The team's young star and future captain, Joe Sakic, he basically summed up how the whole locker room was feeling. With no other choice, the Nordiques had to make a trade. And what a trade it was. I mean, in exchange for one player who wouldn't even put on their jersey, they got an absolute treasure trove. The centerpiece was this young Swedish phenom named Peter Forsberg, but they also got a ton of key players, crucial draft picks, and $15 million in cash. This wasn't just a trade, it was like hitting the reset button on the entire franchise. And the results were immediate and historic. Just look at this jump. The year before the trade, the team had 52 points. The very next season, 104 points. They literally doubled their output. It was the biggest single-season turnaround in the history of the NHL. The Nordiques were no longer a joke, they were a powerhouse. So, They had the players. They had the momentum. They were perfectly poised to finally bring a Stanley Cup to Quebec City. But just as their fortunes on the ice were soaring, their reality off the ice, well, it began to crumble.
And here's the cold, hard truth. Quebec City was the smallest market in the league, period. At the same time, player salaries were just exploding, the Canadian dollar was weak, and the fact that it was a mostly French-language media market really limited their bigger marketability. So when the owner went to the government and asked for a bailout to help fund a new arena, the answer was a flat no. And what's crazy is that the team was even planning this radical rebrand to try and generate some new excitement. They were actually going to ditch the classic look for this fierce Husky logo and a whole new modern color scheme. But these jerseys, they would never even see the ice.
In May of 1995, after another really strong season that ended in a first-round playoff exit, the announcement came. The team had been sold to an ownership group down in Denver, Colorado. The Quebec Nordiques were gone.
And here it is, the final absolutely crushing twist in this story. The very next season, with the exact same core of players that was built through years of failure in Quebec, we're talking Sakic, Forsberg, all of them, the newly named Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup. The city that endured all that pain never got to celebrate the ultimate victory.
Which leaves us all with the ultimate what if, right? I mean, the Avalanche would go on to win another cup in 2001, which just proved how strong that team was. But what if they had found a way to stay? Could that young, powerful team have built a true dynasty in the city that gave them their name, their identity, and their heart? We'll just never know.